here going over Supergirl and Batwoman. First off, hope everybody's taking care and staying safe. We're all in the same boat, all in the same situation, and we just got to find ways to, keep ourselves going and keep ourselves busy. So for me, I'm going to continue to review these shows until, the seasons either finish or they just get pulled from the air, and then we'll find something else to do. So let's get right into it and talk about a little Supergirl. So for this episode of Supergirl, it was very split. There were two distinct storylines going on here, and Kara really had nothing to do with either one. So we kind of got a break from Supergirl for a little bit. The only thing that happened with Kara was her and William finally went out on a date. So the episode begins with Dreamer. Dreamer, she is at her apartment talking to her roommate, and she's very upset. She's still feeling the effects of the breakup with Brainy. Her roommate is just like, you got to get out, you got to meet somebody. And then she's just like, hey, on the Upswipe. I forget where the Upswipes app came from. I don't know if it started on Supergirl or if it started on another DC show, but I remember the Upswipes app. I just can't remember what show it was from. But anyway, so she said that her roommate said she was meeting this guy. And she was like, they were supposed to meet at the club for the very first time. She never met the dude before, but, they're together. So they go down to the club. She told Dreamer, she's like, get your bony behind up and let's go to the club. So Dreamer goes to the club. Her roommate goes to the club. She meets the roommate meets the guy, and the guy basically, they didn't show what happened. I don't know, like, demeaned her, talked down to her, disrespected her. So then Dreamer finds her friend outside crying, and she's like, oh, what happened? And then, her friend, she said that the guy, that she thought liked her, only targeted her because she because he thought she knew Dreamer, because on the roommate's dating profile she said that she was best friends with Dreamer, and she obviously lied about that because she doesn't know that Nia is Dreamer. But the guy who targeted her, he's after Dreamer. So because she put that she was friends with Dreamer on her profile, the guy targeted the roommate. And it's so funny because technically she does know Dreamer, but he basically, like, the guy, he's transphobic, like he hates transgendered people, and he doesn't like the fact that there's a transgender superhero, and he told the message that he sent, to the roommate was, tell Dreamer to stop being a superhero because we don't want your kind, saving people. And then he was just like, stop being a superhero or I'm going to target everybody in the transgender community. The funny thing is, because this person obviously is filled with hate, he would have did it regardless. Like, even if she stopped being, he probably wants her to stop being Dreamer so he can target the the transgender community. So Dreamer's upset because, that's her roommate, and then, her community's being attacked. Kara shows up, she tries to talk her down, and then, Nia's just like, enough of your stupid, sappy Supergirl speeches. Nia was like, yo, when I find him, I'm gonna kill him. She was like, yo, when I find him, she literally said, when I find him, he's done. And then Supergirl was like, no, we don't kill in truth and justice. And then she's like, let me take care of it. And then she was like, all right, she's like, I'm gonna give you one shot to take care of it. And if you don't take care of it, I will. Kara didn't take care of it, so she went to handle business herself. Mia created her own dating profile. The guy took the bait. They met up in an alley. Mia whooped that ass, and she was gonna kill him. But then Supergirl showed up, and then she was like, "Don't do it, don't be a killer." And then Mia decided not to do it, but she told him, she was like, "Yo, if you ever target anybody in my community again," she's like, "I will in fact bust that ass." And then, the cops took him, and then he got taken away. So that was pretty much it. Then later, she was upset. She was crying because she was just like, wow, I almost killed somebody. And Kara was there as a friend to console her. Now, the other side of the storyline was Alex. Alex has been struggling with the alien gun that John gave her, because she can't really get it to work the way she wants it to work. And he keeps telling her, like, it takes time and it takes focus. And then he said that the device has to bond with you. But she's being very impatient about it. So the big black dude that runs the alien bar, he said he came to Jean and he came to Alex because he said that, yo, like, my brother's missing. So the two of them decided to investigate, his missing brother. They find out that, the brother was very involved in the virtual world, the obsidian glasses. And there was like how, he goes into the virtual world and then nobody sees him for days. So they're just like, well, we can't find him in the real world. So in order for us to find him, Alex was like, I'll just go into the virtual world and I'll find him that way. So she links up with Kelly, and, Kelly gives her the obsidian tech. She goes into the virtual world and she tries to find the kid. Now, there have been some, now Alex told Kelly, she was like, listen, she was, they were just like, somebody is targeting people within the virtual world. And then Kelly was like, that can't happen because we flag these types of situations. The program shouldn't be able to do that. She said that we did have a situation that I reported to I reported to the higher ups, and the situation should have gotten taken care of. So Alex goes in, she ends up doing her thing. Now, the funny thing about it is when Alex is in the virtual world, the gun device that John gave her was working perfectly fine. She was making guns and weapons and doing all this crazy, like she was badass in the virtual world. She finds the brother, and the brother was basically like virtually tied up, and he kept exploding like every 10 seconds. So we later find out that because Alex is searching for the kid in the virtual world, Jean's doing his thing on the outside. Jean finds the guy who targeted the brother. And he found the guy's wife. And when he spoke to the wife, John found out that the wife was having a virtual affair with the brother in the virtual world. She was just like, she's like, the two of them never met in the real world. They've never had actual sexual relations in the real world. They just had virtual sex. And she said that she just did it as an escape. But her husband is a tech guy, he's a tech genius. He figured out a way to break into the Obsidian tech and design a program where he can trap people within the virtual world to the point where they can't escape. Because when you want to escape the virtual world, all you gotta do is say end simulation, and he found a way to stop that. And then they also said, if it takes too long for you to get out, like a button's supposed to pop up that you press the button and it automatically disconnects you. He found a way to neutralize that button. Also he can torture, the kid for virtually sleeping with his wife. And, so Alex goes in, Alex finds the guy and Alex get into a fight. But because Alex's gun is working and she's a badass, she takes the guy out. As soon as Alex blasts him, he automatically pops out of the virtual world. And, Jean was right there, at his apartment to meet him. Jean, he attacked Jean knocked him out. And then the guy started wigging out to the point where I don't know if the lenses were messing with his brain or, I'm not exactly sure what happened there of why he was kind of wigging out and going crazy, but his brain got cooked or whatever. Jean had to call the paramedics to pull this guy, to take this guy to the hospital. So later on, after they save the day, the guy, he's in the hospital / prison, and the brother ends up meeting Alex in the real world to thank her for saving his virtual ass. So but then Alex and Kelly had a conversation because Kelly was just the glitch about Kelly was like, first of all, the fact that you blasted him out of the virtual world, that should have never happened. And then the whole thing about the button not working for people to eject themselves and for the command to not work, she was like, that shouldn't be happening either. So Kelly was just like, I invested, she's like, I reported these things, these glitches, and they told me that these glitches were fixed, and clearly they're not fixed. So something really weird is going on. Alex later on, she's training with Jean, and she's frustrated because she's just like, this damn thing ain't working. She's like, she's trying to get the device to work. And she's like, when we were in the virtual world, she was like, I was on point. She's like, why isn't it working? And then, John told her, he was just like, look, you got to give it time to bond with you. So just hold up, calm down. And he was like, it's different in the virtual world because you can she didn't need the device in the virtual world. She could have created anything she wanted. So he was just like, just calm down and give it some time. So now, so then Alex gets a call on her phone, and she answers the phone. She takes the call. She goes to Kara. Kara's like, "What's going on?" And then she was just like, Jeremiah, which is Alex's dad. They said that they found Jeremiah, and Jeremiah's dead. And that was weird because to be honest, I forgot when the last time we saw Jeremiah. And then I'm like, isn't Jeremiah cyborg Superman? wasn't he half cyborg? So I honestly, I would have to go back and watch. I honestly forgot what happened to Jeremiah, and last I checked, I thought he was half robot. So the fact that they're saying they found him and he's dead, if he was really cyborg Superman or an android, I seriously doubt that's the case. But that's I guess that's what we're gonna do in the next episode. We're gonna do the what happened to Jeremiah story, which is cool because if they bring Dean Cain back, that'd be cool to see him. And then finally, throughout the episode, there was this really old lady that was working at Obsidian, where every single time somebody had a problem or their brain got cooked or they were experiencing some trauma because of the virtual stuff, that woman always took them into care. She was just like, like, I'll take care of them, like this, that, and the third. And then when the jealous boyfriend, because he got his brain got cooked because he put on the lenses. The old lady took him too, and she wheeled him into this room. Now, first of all, this old lady was giving me like Granny Goodness vibes, like serious like Granny Goodness vibes. But yeah, but she had she wheeled him into this room, and there was just like a list of bodies of people that were just hung up all over the place. And I guess these were people that had like emotional traumatizing experiences, or people who had bad reactions to the lenses. I don't know why she's collecting all these bodies. I don't know if she works for Leviathan. I don't know what the situation is. Like I said, she could be from Apocalypse, because Homegirl was giving straight up Granny Goodness vibes. But I guess we'll find out later on, because Kelly's gonna end up investigating the whole thing, and Kelly and this old lady's end up gonna come to blows. So that was cool. So I said, so next week, maybe we'll see what happens with the whole Dean Cain Jeremiah situation, and then we'll get a follow-up with the Obsidian situation, and maybe we'll get Lena and Lex back as well, because they weren't in this episode. So pretty cool episode of Supergirl, touched on some good topics, and we're moving on to episode 16. So for Batwoman, the episode the episode starts with well, in the last episode, Alice had captured Mouse's dad, and then Alice dropped him off in front of the bat signal, where Kate's at, with a note in his mouth that says the queen is coming, or look out, ask about the queen, or whatever. So so Alice, then she goes and looks for Mouse. She finds Mouse, and then because Mouse was locked up he's locked up in the basement, he had the Scarecrow fear gas on him, and it was making him, because in Mouse's mind, Alice is dead, because when they shot Beth, he thinks Alice is dead. So when the actual Alice comes downstairs to try to free him from the basement, he thinks he's hallucinating because of the gas. He freaks out, and then because he sees Beth, he's like, oh, he's like, when he sees Alice, he's like, oh, you must be my greatest fear. You're my greatest fear. So he beats up Alice, puts her in the chair, and he puts the fear toxin on Alice. So now Alice starts hallucinating, and she starts seeing her biggest fear. Kate and her dad have Mouse's dad tied up at Kate's bar, and they're interrogating him for information. He's telling them, he's like, what's about to happen is, Mouse, he's like, my son Mouse, he's setting Alice up, and Alice is gonna see, her biggest fear, which is mommy dears. So then we go to flashbacks where, when Beth was living with them as a child, Mouse, the dad, his mom came to visit, the grandmother came to visit. She had a respiratory device with her, and she was just like, she was just like flat out, she was just a mean bitch. Like she was always smacking Beth, and then she was talking down to Beth and mistreating Beth, because she was just jealous, because she said that she squandered her youth with a man that didn't love her, and she resented the fact that Beth was, like young and beautiful, and she was like old and decrepit. So she always tortured Beth whenever she got the chance. Like, she poured hot water on her hands and made her get her coffee, and, just cut her hair, and this just always just talked down to her, to the point where Mouse's dad even told Kate and, and Commander Kane, he was just like, my mom snuffed out the last bit of like light and hope that, that Beth had inside of her. But that wasn't really but that wasn't what pushed her over the edge, though. But that's what kind of like broke her, to the point where she stopped living, she stopped believing. But then, so then they, he told them, he was just like, listen, he was like, I'm not gonna tell you where Alice is, because he was just like, when the gas gets to her, she's gonna go crazy and go on a rampage, and she's gonna kill a bunch of people, and then the toxin's eventually gonna kill her if you don't counteract the like the poison. So they're trying to get him to tell where Alice is, and he's like, like, I'm not gonna tell, whatever. But so Commander Kane, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and look for her. He's like, you stay here. So now the dad is telling Kate, like the same story that Alice herself, is reliving in her mind. So then Kate ended up telling him, she was like, listen, you tell me where Alice is, and I'll cut you a deal. She was like, I'll let you go if you give me the information. And he's like, how come he's like, I can't trust you. How do you know I can trust you? And then she was like, because I actually have integrity, like, I'm not a killer, I'm not a bad person. She was like, I have honor and integrity. So he was like, all right, cool. He gave her the address, in exchange for his freedom. She gave the address to to her dad. Her dad went to go look for Alice. Now, prior to that, he actually tried, because when the dad went to go look for him, I guess like Mouse's dad figured, I guess he figured that eventually they would find Alice. So just so he wouldn't end up going to prison or whatever, he ended up, like he got his hand, because they had him tied up. He got his hand free. He broke a piece of glass and cut his own throat, and he tried to kill himself. Kate ended up, like stopping the bleeding. She stapled his neck shut, tied a bandage around it to keep him from, from bleeding out and killing himself. So he's still alive. And Kate got the address. She gave it to her dad, and her dad's looking for Alice. Now, Alice had reached the breaking point where where she was gonna lose her shit. So Alice ended up getting herself out of the chair, and then she couldn't get out of the basement because the door was locked. But because she was feeling so much pain from experiencing like her biggest fear, she broke a window, took a piece of glass, and she was gonna kill. I'm like, why is everybody going for the throat? Alice was gonna kill herself, and then right before she cut her own throat, her dad busted in. He saved her, and then he was just like, I'm not gonna let you do it. He gave her the adrenaline shot to counteract the poison, and Alice was, she was actually like happy because her dad, and she endured so much torture living with Mouse and his dad. She was just like her dad finally saved her. And that was very endearing to her. But she was surprised because she was just like, I'm surprised that, he's still alive because I'm pretty sure he told you the story. And then he was like, yeah, he told us the story about what a bitch, like his mom was. And then she was like, his mom, she was like, that's not what I was talking about. And then because we find out that, because Beth and Kate have they both have like those matching necklaces, and in the beginning of the episode we find out that those necklaces were given to them by their mom gave them those ruby necklaces, and their mom had a pair of ruby earrings that matched both of those necklaces. And Alice was telling her dad, she was like, listen, he didn't tell you about the earrings. And then he was like, your mom's earrings? And he was like, where do you get the goddamn earrings, Beth? And then at the same time Kate was talking to him, and then he was telling Kate, like the whole story about, what actually made Alice like really like snap. And come to find out that the grandmother had their mom's earrings. And when, which was freaking Alice out. But then Alice, because they ended up fast forwarding because, like, again, as a child, the grandmother was torturing Alice, and this went on for years. So Alice was older now. She was the Alice that we know now, only she didn't have the blonde hair. And then, she when she finally saw the earrings that the grandmother had, and then she was like, where did you get those earrings? And then she was like, my son gave them to me. And then there was a refrigerator in the barn that Alice had always saw, but she never looked into. So she put two and two together. She broke into the refrigerator because there's only one way that he could have gotten those earrings. There's only one way that she could have gotten their mom's earrings. Alice broke into the refrigerator, opened the door, and saw her mom's head in the refrigerator because the dad had cut he when the car accident happened, he fished their mom's body out of the river, cut her head off and put it in the freezer, and gave his mother like the earrings. So, and he told Kate, he said that the reason why he did that was because he said that his mother was so upset about her being old, she wanted him to put their mother's face on her because she saw how he was able to fix Mouse's face, and she knew he could reconstruct faces, so she wanted to look young again, so she wanted their mom's face. But he wouldn't do it because he said that since their mom is dead, I can't have you walking around with their mom's face. So he just kept like putting it off because he never planned on doing it. But he always wanted to preserve the face because he was like, your mother had a beautiful face. And I guess he would have given it to somebody eventually. So, but then when Kate heard that, she kind of snapped. And then, she knocked him out of the chair, and then she had her hands around his neck, and then she was like, you took everything from me, you destroyed my family, not realizing he still had the wound on his neck where he tried to cut himself. And then Kate accidentally like broke the staples that she used to close the wound shut, and then he ended up bleeding out, and then he died. And then, so now Kate's freaking out because she was just like, yo, I just killed somebody. And when that happened, I was just kind of like, she didn't kill him. Like the dude, first of all, the dude cut his own neck. So so that's not Kate. That's not on Kate. And then even for Alice, when she saw her mom's head in the refrigerator, she went back into the house, took the took the air compression tank that the grandmother was using, lit it on fire, and blowtorched, and Alice basically killed the grandmother for what for what happened to her mom. So she got revenge she got revenge in that aspect. So that's how the grandmother died, and then she actually set the entire house on fire. And so because Alice killed the grandmother, set the house on fire. Obviously, we know she escaped with Mouse, but I still like to know what happened to the dad, because what happened to the dad never got explained. So I'd like an episode to see what happened to the dad after Alice burned the entire house down. But now, he's on the floor like he did. Commander Kane and Alice, they come back to the bar, and he's like, "What did you do, Kate?" And Kate's like crying in the corner or whatever. And then, they put the pulse on him. They're just like, "Wow, he's dead." So, false face, Mouse's dad is officially gone. Mouse is somewhere running around Gotham, drugged up on fear toxin. Alice is with her family, and then Alice was like, "Congratulations, Daddy! Now you have 2 daughters that are murderers." And I'm just like, for Kate, that doesn't count, because Kate didn't kill him. Was she reckless? Was she careless? But the dude cut his own throat, so he did that. He did that to himself. Like the stitches probably would have broke anyway. So I hope they don't spend like the next 3 or 4 episodes with Kate stewing over the fact that this dude is dead, thinking I hope it doesn't turn into Kate saying, "I can't be Batwoman anymore because I took a life and Bruce would never." I'm just like, where's Luke when you need him to talk some sense into Kate? Well, and speaking of Luke, he and Mary, they teamed up. They found the car that that the dad used when he killed, because they're trying to find Beth's killer, because Alice is still alive. Beth got shot by Mouse's dad, and the two of them were still trying to find Beth's killer. So Mary did her thing. She got some information. The two of them went to a junkyard. They found the car, they found the rifle, and they found the bullet that matched the same bullet that killed Beth. But that's irrelevant now, because they can't use any of that information, because now he's actually officially dead. When they were back at Wayne Tower, because Mary knows that Kate is Batwoman, Mary was trying to find the secret passageway to the Batcave, and then Luke was like, "Woman, what are you doing?" And then she's like, "Nothing, whatever." So that's gonna turn into something eventually. But yeah, and then the episode ended with with Beth, Alice, same person. It ended with Alice and Kate. Alice basically said to Kate, she was like, "Yo, we got a long night ahead of us." And then she was like, "What do you mean?" And then Alice was like, "Because." She was like, "Yo, homeboy is dead." She was just like, "Between me, you, and Dad, we're gonna have to cover that up." So so when the two of them go back into the house, and then that's how the episode ended. So that was good. Now that was actually it's very emotional. There wasn't a lot of Batwoman. There was like one Batwoman scene in the beginning of the episode, but not a lot of Batwoman. It was really based on Alice, the same way how like a previous episode was all about Sophie. This one was all about Alice. Like Alice's story about, like how she really snapped. So we'll see, does Alice become, good? Because now it's like Mouse, I guess, is like the villain now. It's like the real villain now that his dad is dead. So we'll see what side of the fence Alice, Alice falls on. And can't wait to see the next episode of Batwoman. So that was it. That was my reviews for Supergirl and Batwoman. Things are, coming down to the wire. Next week we got episode 16s in the book, and then, for both shows, so I think like for seven more episodes, about 6 or 7 more episodes, and then we're done for the season. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Stay safe. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. Check out my other videos for the other DC TV, as well as gaming, movies as well, etc. And for Batwoman, for Supergirl. Until next time, as always, guys, I'm out this bitch.